The lights of the arena burned bright over the squared circle, drawing every heartbeat into its center. The noise of the crowd was a living force. Waves of excitement from both sides of the rivalry. Flags of Mexico and Puerto Rico rippled in the charged air, their colors reflecting in the camera flashes that painted the faces of thousands. Tonight wasn't just another championship defense. It was another chapter in boxing's timeless story of pride and heritage. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. From the red corner, the challenger, Cesar Seda, walked in with a calm intensity, eyes sharp, jaw tight. His second chance at a world title, his opportunity to turn the lessons of defeat into triumph. Across the ring, the champion Leo Santa Cruz, undefeated, relentless, the pride of Los Angeles by way of Michoacan, Mexico. He entered with the confidence of a man who knew no other rhythm than attack. The chants of Leo rolled through the building like thunder. The referee brought them together, giving that final reminder, protect yourselves at all times. They touched gloves, and as the bell rang, the air changed. It was no longer about talk or pride. It was about survival, precision, and the will to dominate under the brightest lights in the world. The opening rounds began with both men testing range, each finding their rhythm in the chaos. Santa Cruz immediately pressed forward, jabbing to the body, doubling up with the kind of volume that made his style unmistakable. He wasn't a man who waited. He was a man who overwhelmed. Seda, the slick southpaw from Puerto Rico, countered smartly, stepping back and letting straight left hands shoot between the champion's combinations. His timing was sharp early, landing clean counters that snapped Leo's head back. The crowd roared for every exchange, not for one man, but for the spirit of the fight itself. Santa Cruz began to dig to the body, those signature shots thudding like a drumbeat against Seda's ribs. Every punch told a story of persistence. Seda responded with courage, firing right hooks and uppercuts from angles that made the champion pause. The first few rounds were a war of attrition, a test of who would blink first. It was clear that Seda wasn't there to survive. He came to dethrone. But Santa Cruz's pace, endless, suffocating, was something else entirely. His punches came in waves, relentless, rhythmic, like a storm that refused to pass. As the middle rounds unfolded, the intensity climbed. Santa Cruz's pressure was beginning to wear on Seda. The challenger's slick movement started to slow, his feet no longer as quick to pivot away from danger. Still, he stood his ground, trading fire for fire, refusing to back down. Santa Cruz worked behind that high guard, digging to the ribs, before finishing upstairs with snapping hooks. Each exchange was a contest of wills. Seda had the sharper counters, but Santa Cruz had the engine, an endless supply of punches, fueled by sheer determination. By the fifth round, the tempo had reached a fever pitch. Santa Cruz's bodywork began to tell. Seda's guard dropped ever so slightly, his mouth open as he tried to find oxygen in the thick atmosphere of war. Yet even hurt, the Puerto Rican refused to fade. He would catch Santa Cruz coming in, clip him with a crisp left, then brace himself for the storm that followed. The crowd loved every second. It was what they came for. 2 men, 2 nations, and one unrelenting test of heart. The bell to end each round didn't just stop the action. It was a gasp for air in a fight that refused to slow down. The 7th and 8th rounds brought moments of brilliance and desperation alike. Seda, feeling the tide turning, began to move more, trying to pick spots rather than stand and trade. But Santa Cruz's conditioning was something unreal. He cut off the ring with surgical precision, throwing over 100 punches a round, breaking Seda's rhythm with that thudding consistency to the body. The champion's jab was now landing almost at will, setting up overhand rights and short hooks inside. Seda countered bravely, firing left hands down the pipe, but each one was answered by 3 or 4 punches in return. Late in the 8th, Santa Cruz cornered him, unloading a furious barrage, combinations to the ribs. Uppercuts through the guard, hooks upstairs that snapped Seda's head around. The crowd rose as one, sensing a possible finish, but Seda held on, firing back just enough to show his pride. It was a reminder that this wasn't just a battle of skill, it was a clash of souls. By the end of the round, both men stood toe-to-toe, chests heaving, exchanging punches even as the bell rang, neither willing to take a backward step. The rivalry between Mexico and Puerto Rico was alive in every second. By the ninth, Santa Cruz's dominance was clear, yet Seda's courage was undeniable. The champion's body attack had done its job. Seda's punches came slower, his arms heavier. Still, every so often, he would plant his feet and let his hands go, finding success with that straight left that split Santa Cruz's guard. But Leo walked through them, grinning, punching, grinding forward. His output was monstrous, jabs, hooks, uppercuts, all in perpetual motion. Seda tried to hold, tried to pivot, but the champion's pressure wouldn't let him breathe. Commentators ringside marveled at Santa Cruz's volume, his discipline, his refusal to coast even with the lead. This was the kind of fighter who didn't know comfort zones. He only knew forward motion. Seda landed his own highlight moments, a crisp counter left here, a right hook there. But every success was drowned under Leo's tidal wave of offense. The ninth round ended with the crowd on its feet again, applauding both warriors. Seda's left eye was swelling. Santa Cruz's cheeks reddened, sweat and pride glistening under the lights. There were no quitters in this ring, only men willing to endure the storm to prove they belonged. The championship rounds began with a sense of defiance in both corners. Seda's trainer urged him to fight smart, move and counter. Santa Cruz's corner told him to stay on the body, to break him down. As round 10 opened, the two men met in the center, and they didn't stop throwing. Seda's early combinations found their mark, his timing sharp again for a brief moment. But Santa Cruz, like a machine, walked him down, absorbing and returning in kind. He doubled the jab, ripped to the body, and then came over the top with a right hand that staggered Seda back toward the ropes. The crowd roared, feeling the shift. Santa Cruz smelled blood, stepping in with uppercuts, hooks, and more body shots that echoed through the building. But Seda, refusing to fall, fired back with pure pride, his fists screaming defiance. Every second of those late rounds was chaos, sweat flying, gloves cracking, fans screaming. The bell was merely a pause between wars. The pace after 10 rounds was something out of another world, and still, neither man wanted to give in. By the 11th, exhaustion had painted both fighters' faces, but Santa Cruz looked like he could fight 20 more. His relentless conditioning had always been his weapon, and it was on full display. Seda tried everything, moving, countering, clinching, but the champion's volume was relentless. Every time Seda landed one, Santa Cruz answered with 4. The jab still stabbed like a metronome, setting the rhythm for the combinations that followed. Santa Cruz began to mix uppercuts beautifully, snapping Seda's head up, then finishing to the ribs. The challenger showed immense heart, shaking his head as if to say, "I'm still here," but his legs betrayed him, heavy, unsteady. The fans began chanting louder, honoring both men as if willing Seda to stay upright and Leo to finish strong. It was no longer about points or perfection. It was about respect. Two fighters from two proud boxing nations, giving everything to the sport that defined their lives. The 11th closed with Santa Cruz landing another hard combination, and Seda still firing back, pride keeping him upright when energy could not. The 12th and final round arrived, the air electric with admiration. Seda, battered but unbroken, came forward one last time, throwing everything left in him. Santa Cruz met him in the center, a champion to the end, unrelenting, throwing until the final bell. They exchanged in the pocket, neither backing away, the sound of leather on flesh echoing through the hall. It was beautiful chaos, the embodiment of heart, courage, and championship spirit. The final bell rang, and both men embraced, knowing they had shared something unforgettable. The crowd roared its approval, not just for the winner, but for the fight itself. As the decision was read, all three judges had it the same way. The winner, and still WBC Super Bantamweight champion of the world, Leo Santa Cruz. The Mexican flags waved, cheers erupted, but even in defeat, Cesar Seda walked tall, his pride intact. They had honored the rivalry, honored the sport, and given the fans a war to remember. Under those lights, as Santa Cruz raised his belt, one thing was certain. Champions come and go, but fights like this, fights with heart, stay forever.